Yo, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Walkthrough Wednesday. This one's a little bit different. We're going to cover some DJ related stuff, I would say. I spoke to the boys in the Discord, asked what they wanted to see. Obviously, the Patreon family dictate what we cover in these episodes. So if you want to join the team, come and join the team. Get some sample packs, get some midis, and a lot more. Also, get your music supported in the Patreon exclusive monthly mix, which has gone down really well. Honestly, some of the coolest IDs I've ever heard from the Patreon fam. They're really stepping up their game now. So if you want to be supported in that, join the team and send your demos via Patreon DMs. In addition to that, this is a big tangent, by the way. In addition to that, next Wednesday I am doing a Rave Room demo drop. Now, it will only be patrons that can submit demos, because it would just take too long if everybody did it via the email. So if you are a patron, send your demo for Rave Room in the Patreon DMs and I will review it next week on Walkthrough Wednesday. Also, the week after I'll do a general one. So if you have like Future House, you know, K-pop or whatever, I'll review those as well. So back to my original point. We're going to cover some DJ related stuff. The boys said that they would love to see something like that. I'm not going to show the physical side of DJing, so I'm not going to show you how to do scratching and all that stuff, because there's people out there for that. I.e. Layback Luke and James Hype, two of the best DJs in the scene. So if you want to learn how to do the physical DJing aspect, that's who you should go and watch. This is more approaching it from a producer's point of view, because I'm, like most people, more a producer than a DJ. I started off making music. DJing is just the positive that came from making music. I always see DJing is the reward for all the hard work I put in the studio. I don't see it as work, you know. But yeah, I still really love DJing, but I think at heart I'm more of a music producer. So I'm going to show you how I approach certain sets in clubs, festivals, live streams. I'm also going to show you a little bit about mixed in key and record box, because mixing in key, it is very important, especially in radio shows, which I'm going to get onto next. Radio shows are a great way to start your career and start getting your name out there. If you make a radio show, you support guys' music, you get it on 1001 track list, you're then making a name for yourself via a radio show. So then you can also support your own music in that, and it's just a great way to network and to support other producers, which in turn will get them to support you, etc, etc. So I'll show you how I organized the Patreon mix, and also how I actually made the mix in FL Studio. FL Studio is, well, DAWs are where most artists do their radio mixes. Nobody really is sitting on the decks doing this and doing it live, because one, it takes longer, it takes an hour at least, whereas if you do it in FL Studio, you can do it in about 30 minutes. You also have lots of radio drops. You'll listen to hardware on air, blah blah blah, which you need to insert into the mix in certain points. So it's just better to do it in a DAW. And I'm going to show you how you can go from one BPM to another, how to do it correctly. And yeah, we'll jump into the Patreon exclusive mix to show you how I did that. So part one is a little bit of theory. We are going to go into what kind of music do we play in a festival, in a club, on a live stream. We'll start with a live stream. A live stream is more, you can play more experimental music, right? In a live stream, you do not have a live crowd in front of you. You cannot react to the crowd. You can't change what you're playing because of the crowd, because you can't see them. They're sitting at home with their cat, their grandma on the couch watching you. So you have to approach a live stream as a producer showcase, as in play as much of your music as you can. For example, in the revealed live set that I did, the last one I did a year ago, I played a lot of IDs that I'd made. So this is the first time people were hearing it. If I played one of those in the club and people didn't react, I would be like, okay, I've got to play something different. But on a live stream, you can literally test whatever you want. This is the chance for you to support your own music and push your own sound. In a club, you don't want to plan your set too much. In a club, you need to react to the crowd. In places like Asia, they really want the faster tempo stuff, at least when I was there a few years ago. So my Asian set will be a little bit different to my European set. But in a club, you would always just try and mix on the fly, learn the crowd, read the crowd, see what they're reacting most to, and play more of that. Then we come to a festival. A festival set, I will open my record box in a bit and we'll go into that, but a festival set is really about getting some of those crowd reaction songs in. So yeah, you're going to play a lot of your own music, a lot of IDs and stuff, but you have to try and get a few of those well-known acapellas, a few of those well-known melodies in there. You know, cheesy stuff, Calvin Harris, you know, but because a festival crowd is a lot more widespread, so you've got people there who genuinely like you, like the music, and there's people that are there just because it's a festival. You might have a few girls at the back just like, oh, where's the Beyonce, you know? So you have to kind of give them something, whether that's an Alan Walker faded a cappella on a track, for example. That's where you play those kind of stuff. You've got to be careful if you're playing before a bigger artist though. If you're playing before a bigger artist, you don't want to play too many of those. So we're going to jump into Rekordbox. So we're going to have a look at the set list for the Patreon exclusive mix. Now, you'll see something at the start of these tracks. Now you've got 8A, 11A, 11A, 1A, 2A, 4A. Most of you are thinking like, what does that mean? We've got a little bit of a problem there because I moved the position of the tracks. But this is basically mixing in key. So those numbers, where did I get those? So I got those numbers from Mixed in Key, the software. Now I think you do have to buy this software. I can't remember because I got it when I first started DJing. I remember Blasterjaxx taught me about all this and the keys, and Billy the Kit as well. Absolute legend DJ. They really taught me all the ins and outs of this. So you drag a song in. So we've just dragged in Let's Get Ill by DJ Snake and Mercer. We drag that in and we get a key result. So that's not G, that's not F to you. You're expecting it's going to be F or something, right? But you can see a number and a letter, 1A. Most things are A, but there is a few B's. But basically 1A, we can click 1A and it will show as an A flat minor. So that means you can mix a 2A or a 12A next. So you're playing a 1A, you can either mix 1A, you mix 1A with 1A, it's going to sound beautiful, it's in the same key, so it's going to sound so smooth. But sometimes you don't have another track in 1A, so you've got to go up or down. So you want to go either 2A or 12A, or you can go 1B, so you can either go 1 down, 1 up, or 1 across. You can't really jump from a 1A to a 10A. Well, you can, but it's not going to sound musically in key, right? So in a club, I would not be paying too much attention to this mixing in key personally, because as I said, I've got to react to the crowd. In a live stream, I want to mix everything perfectly in key. Same with a radio show. That's why we can see in Rekordbox, yes, there's some exceptions. I will explain that in a little bit, but mostly you've got this like, it's moving up, that there's not too big of a jump, you know. There will be some exceptions obviously, because what if you don't have a 7A track? Like here, we don't have a 7A, so you're gonna have to make some kind of exceptions there. Don't let the keys dictate your set too much, as in if you have a gap between the 4A and the 5A, don't go looking for a 5A to place in between those two tracks. Don't. I mean, you want to play your best set. It doesn't sound the worst when you mix a 6A with a 4A, as you'll hear in the Patreon mix. You probably didn't notice. But it does sound better if you're going to mix 4A with 4A with 4A. It just sounds so musically correct, and the mixing is seamless. You can't really tell that the transition's being made. So if you're going to make a live stream or a radio show, which I think most of you guys watching this will do, I don't know how many of you guys are playing shows yet, but Rekordbox and Mixed in Key are really, really important for that. Rekordbox is great because anything you do on this software goes onto your Pioneer decks, whether that's a club, whether that's your controller. Take the USB out, put it in, it'll save all of your cue points and all those kind of things. Cue points, maybe if you guys want to see more detail in this, the actual Rekordbox kind of stuff, let me know, because I could do that. But this is just an overview to tell you 5A would go really well with a 6A or a 4A. So when you're mixing tracks, make sure you try and get those to mix seamlessly if it's a radio show or a festival as well, because festivals can be recorded. As I said, with festivals, you know, you've got a wider crowd, so you really want to put more planning into that. But yeah, this is basically how I did the set list. So we have the set list. How do we do the mix? I'm going to jump into the project of the monthly mix. Okay, so I tried to open the Patreon exclusive mix project. And because after making the mix I moved all the tracks into a new folder, FL Studio just will not recognize where they are, so it loads up the project with no tracks in it. So what we're going to do is do some live mixing. So this works for radio shows and stuff. For a live stream, you don't want to do a pre-recorded set, you want to actually do the mixing, because one, it just there's no reason to not mix. It's not the hardest thing in the world, and two, it will be boring as hell stood up there trying to pretend like you're mixing, right? So what we're going to do is try and mix some tracks together. We're going to go and grab some tracks. Okay, so I had a little bit of an issue there having Record Box open. Just really, I could not hear what was coming from FL Studio. But anyway, we have OG. So I have made it hit the grid. So as you can see, the kick is hitting on the grid, which just makes it easier to mix. We know that this is just locked to the grid throughout. What I did was I clicked fit to tempo. Now I'm fitting it to tempo. It's already 150 BPM. The project's 150 BPM, but I want to lock it to the tempo anyway, because when you do change the BPM of the project, the tracks will move. So you're going to click resample so it stays the same. Now this will be locked. We're going to click create an automation clip on this. We're going to right click that and we're going to just do that there like that. So this will be 150. Ignore the BPM right now, but it will stay 150. So this is the start of our mix. So my track Rave is Our Religion with Rave Republic is 6A. So as we said before, 6A and 7A will work nicely together. The problem is